one big surprise from looking around at Major League Baseball through this first 4 weeks of baseball season, the NL Central, as of today, when we record this podcast, has been the best division in Major League Baseball. And you're probably saying, what? Go look at your phone right now. The NL Central is the only division in baseball right now with 5 teams above 500. The Reds, Cardinals, and Pirates are leading the way in the division right now. The Cubs and Brewers pulling up the rear. And that is not something that I can tell you I thought would happen 4 weeks ago. I don't think you're going to find anybody who thought that's the way it would be looking after about 20 games here this season. But give credit to the Reds and the Pirates and the Cardinals, Cubs and Brewers for all playing decent baseball here to start the season. Now, I know Cubs fans out there, I live in Chicago, I know they're not necessarily thrilled with the way things have started, but they've had plenty of injuries along the way that has also helped with that. The Milwaukee Brewers, same thing. But look around Major League Baseball. There are a lot of teams with a lot of different injuries, and they're already in the month of April trying to plug holes, and that depth is being challenged right away, that depth that we talk about a lot here on the Relay with Russ Dorsey. But one injury, 2 injuries can change an entire division, and I think we're seeing that because the Chicago Cubs were supposed to be the team that led this division far and away, right? With the moves that they made this offseason, bringing in Edward Cabrera, bringing in Alex Bregman, and you know, another year of growth from some of their younger players that blossomed last year. Nico Horner turning into a household name. Michael Busch after a breakout year last year. Pete Crow Armstrong after a breakout year last year. Some of the veterans that they have with Ian Happ and Seiya Suzuki. You could see why the Cubs were the team to beat and should have been the team to beat. But when you lose Cade Horton, who was their best starting pitcher for the year, having to have UCL surgery, going to miss all of this year and most of next year. An injury like that is huge because it just changes what the Cubs are going to be able to do. They've had plenty of injuries to not only their rotation with Horton and Matthew Boyd, but also in their bullpen with Hunter Harvey and Phil Maton, Porter Hodge, who was supposed to be one of their late inning guys, out for the year. And so the Cubs are having to be one of the teams that plug holes. And after a while, it can be very difficult to plug holes without doing something else, whether that's bringing in somebody from the minor leagues, whether that's going out and acquiring a player or signing a free agent. The Cubs they're going to have to figure some of these things out, not to mention that they haven't necessarily all of their guys they expected a lot out of swung the bats well. Nico Horner has been great for them. Moises Ballesteros has been great for them. Their catchers have been fantastic, whether that's Carson Kelly, Miguel Amaya, that trio. But Alex Bregman hasn't swung the bat like they expected him to swing the bat. Pete Crow Armstrong hasn't swung the bat like they expected him to swing the bat. Michael Busch hasn't swung the bat. We talked about his 0 for 30 last week before, having a couple of hits fall. So, it only takes one. And for a team like the Pittsburgh Pirates that we talked about with their starting pitching, they've added offense. They've had guys really step up for them. O'Neal Cruz really showing what he can do offensively. That was a guy a couple of weeks ago before the season. We said that's a guy that you could say needs to take that next step, and he's starting to do that offensively. Still a little shaky with the defense out there in center field, but offensively he's been getting it done. Brandon Lau, bringing him in, what that power that he's brought to second base. Ryan O'Hearn. And then obviously, Connor Griffin, being brought to the big leagues and the excitement that brings and the talent that he brings. The St. Louis Cardinals, the team that went young, and they are getting a lot out of their young players. We talked about Jordan Walker and the start to the season that he's been having, but it's not just him. Guys like Mason Wynn, J.J. Weatherholt, they're getting production from a lot of different places in that lineup with their pitching and being able to keep things going here. Standings are going to change, right? It's a long season. It's still April. I realize all that. But a lot of these teams we thought would just be in the rear and pulling up the rear. The Cincinnati Reds are showing that, hey, they can compete in this division. Sal Stewart is having a great start to the year. Their rookie third baseman, and you're seeing a division that is going to be competitive. With the Cubs having the injuries that they've had, this division is going to be a lot more competitive than people believed at the start of the year. And competitive baseball, competitive divisions, that makes all of this really interesting. For me as a writer and as a reporter, I like being able to watch games that matter in a division in August and September, right? When a division is decided by August 1st, nobody's really excited. That doesn't help anybody. Keeping all these fan bases locked in because these games matter, that is a very big deal. So it should be fun to watch how this division shakes out. And maybe some of these teams fall back like we thought they would, but maybe they don't. And maybe they say, hey, we can hang around. Maybe we can, find our way in that conversation for a wild card spot or even a division if things fall their way. Hey guys, thanks for watching this episode of The Relay with Russ Dorsey. Be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. And if you have a question for me, be sure to drop it in the comments below, and we'll catch you again here next time.